Hi and welcome to another race video, this time from the 2019 ITU World Triathlon in Leeds. This was my first WTS race in about 1.5 years and obviously the first one in 2019. Sadly, I wasn't really lucky on that weekend because the day before the race on the swim course familiarization I probably caught some kind of stomach bug in the lake there. And yeah, let's just say that I spent more time on the toilet the day of the race than actually racing. But yeah, I didn't feel too bad, so I just tried to give it my best and see if maybe I have something left in the tank. And yeah, it was basically the last push, the last punch was missing in the race, and so on the first straight to the first buoy in the swim, I didn't really have any punch, so I probably was around the buoy in maybe 5th to last position, and swimming steady wasn't too bad, so I was able to catch some guys after that. But obviously if you're almost last on after the first can, your race is pretty much over. But yeah, over the second part of the swim I managed to just get on the tail end of the first big pack. I didn't really catch it, but I swam pretty much the same pace, always about 10 seconds behind. And yeah, sadly that was too much of a gap to the first pack, because obviously after the swim and on the first few 100 meters or first few K on the bike, the last guys of the first pack string back into the first pack, and in this case it was some of the best riders in the whole field, and obviously I didn't have any chance to make up those 10 seconds on the first few K on the bike. Yeah, so after I caught Andreas Salvisberg here, I was pretty much on my own. Sometimes I had a little bit of company. I think one of the Australians just caught back up here. But yeah, after a few pulls I was gone again and on my own. Yeah, I was pretty, I couldn't really do anything. I was riding as fast as I could, but obviously I wasn't there. There was no chance of catching the first pack, so basically it was just waiting for the second pack to catch up. I'm just gonna fast forward here to when the second pack catches up. The difficult part about this bike section is probably right in the beginning, because the first 1K is uphill straight out of the transition, so it's really important to get into your shoes straight away and not to ride on the shoes. Luckily I'm pretty good at slipping into the shoes right away, so I didn't have any problems. But some of the other guys, maybe you saw Andreas Salvisberg there, he was riding on the shoes, which is obviously a little bit slower up the hill. So here the big chase pack caught up with us, and yeah, there was some of the best runners in the pack. Obviously they were motivated to catch the first pack, but yeah, the gap stayed pretty much the same over the whole bike course, I would say. Always about 60 to 70 seconds. I'm gonna fast forward again here, because there was the first part of the bike was going from the lake into the city of Leeds, and that wasn't too technical. As you can see, it was a little bit of wet spots on the road because it was raining right before the race, but it wasn't too dangerous. If it would have been wet in the city, that would have been carnage. I think there would have been a lot of crashes because it's really technical and the pavement isn't too good. And yeah, then on a technical course you have a lot of crashes, and obviously it's very dangerous. I have to apologize for not having any power data this time. Sadly, the battery of the power meter just died 2 weeks before the race, while I was in the training camp with the Dutch triathlon team in the Sierra Nevada. And yeah, I was going from the Sierra Nevada straight to the European champs the week before Leeds, and then obviously Leeds, so there wasn't really any time to send the power meter back to SRM because they have to change the batteries. And yeah, I will be able to change the batteries after the race in Leeds now, and then we will have power data again for the next videos. So now I want to take you along for the better part of a full lap of the triathlon circuit in Leeds. So as I said, the course, the circuit in the city of Leeds is really technical. There's a lot of corners, so it's pretty tough because you have to accelerate after every turn. And obviously it's better to ride rather in the front of the pack, because then you not always have to catch back up to everybody. And yeah, it was a little bit difficult in the first lap because we had the bike course familiarization the day before the race, but I haven't ever ridden the course in a race, so I didn't really know how hard you could go around the corners. In the second lap it was going a lot better, and it wasn't too bad. I was a little bit afraid after the familiarization, but then in the race I didn't really struggle at all. The hardest part for me probably was going around the turning point here, because we were going down here and then around the turn and now straight into a hill. So you didn't have a lot of speed, and then you had to go up the hill on the one hand, and then on the other hand catch back up to the leaders, because it was only single file around the turning point. Yeah, that was really tough. So obviously there's no wattage, but it's probably around 30 seconds at 500 plus, maybe 600 watts, which takes a lot out of your legs. So I always try to position myself on the climb, on a little climb here, because after the climb there was just a really short downhill and then straight into the most technical section of the course. And obviously in the really technical cornery section of the course, you want to be around the front. Maybe not the first one, but like the second to fifth position is usually the best, because you don't always have to accelerate super hard, but obviously still have some draft, so it makes it a little bit easier. So maybe you can see here on the first turn, I'm going into the turn with another guy next to me, so I lost a little bit of speed because I didn't want to crash into him. Maybe I'm a little bit too polite there. And yeah, there was a little gap opening up already, so I had to close that, and that's always a situation that takes a lot out of your legs, because you have to basically sprint to catch back up to the guy in front of you. And now that I was right back on the back wheel of Richard Murray here, the rest of the technical section was more, let's say, easy cruising there. As you can see, I'm in like 5th or 6th position here, and yeah, that was pretty much the ideal place to be, I would say. Yeah, a lot of corners here, pavement is not too good. If it would have been wet, it would have been super slippery, because there's all these white markings on the road, and these are usually really slippery. And yes, and also some bumps and stuff. There wasn't a lot to ride actually here, because you're always just cornering and then sprinting back up, braking, cornering. It was pretty hectic, I would say. But then also, of course, it's a lot of fun. If it's not dangerous, and if it's dry, it's not really dangerous. It's just fast, and you have to be confident on your bike. And yeah, I would have enjoyed some more laps, obviously, but sadly, due to having diarrhea all day, I didn't really have too much power in the legs. On the first 1 or 2 laps and on the way to the city of Leeds, I didn't really feel too bad, but it was just the peaks that I wasn't really comfortable doing. Like all the sprints, that was really hard for me. Going at a steady pace, that wasn't too bad, and so even pulling through and doing some work here wasn't too hard for me, because then maybe you have to go up to like 500 watts, but if you have to sprint out of the corners in the technical section, even especially if you lose like a meter or two because maybe you didn't get the corner too well, then you always have to go up to 1000 watts or more. And yeah, in that situation, that was the thing that absolutely killed me. And I pretty much felt it maybe after the second lap, because I was also still working with the group. But yeah, to be honest, if you don't absorb a lot of energy before your race, and I was probably not absorbing any energy at all for a day, that's like you don't have any chance in a world-class field like that. I was kind of surprised that I was able to ride with the group there and also even put in a little bit of work. But yeah, over the long term there was just no chance because my tank was just empty. So long story short, on the third or fourth lap, yeah, going through the technical sections, I just felt that my legs weren't able to sprint anymore. Going steady was still okay, but after all these corners, doing the sprint to catch back up was just not possible anymore. And that, yeah, it's kind of understandable after having no energy. And yeah, what I did was just like I didn't manage to stay in the pack anymore after these corners, so I just rolled for a lap easy and then quit. Obviously that wasn't what I wished for my first WTS race of the season, but yeah, what you gonna do except not swimming in the lake, which you are supposed to swim in anyways for the race. Yeah, thanks for watching anyways, guys. Hope you enjoyed, even though I didn't finish, and see you next time.